are we now?
Great question. We are deep in Humboldt County right now. It's so deep actually you have to go out of Humboldt County and then back in Humboldt County to get to it. So we're at one of the co-founders of Humboldt Seed Company's farms. And this is where all the magic happens when it comes to making new genetics. We were actually invited, thanks to some relationships that we have already with the Humboldt Seed Crew, to come along for the Pheno Hunt 2025. This is a search for the best washers. We get to come up here, we get to check out all these cultivars. These are all different variants of strains, substrains. Obviously a lot of crosses that are proprietary to the HSC crew. And just coming around, smelling it, profiling them, seeing what we think as far as if they'd be a better genetic for flower. It's a really cool thing. There's people here from all around the world. So definitely a lot of people here, a lot of good times, and there's more to be had.
So, liebe Zuschauer, es geht los, endlich. Farm 1 in Humboldt County. Wir werden heute einen Pheno-Hunt machen, das heißt, wir werden uns die Pflanzen anschauen. Seht ihr die Härchen? Wow, also es sieht wirklich faszinierend aus, wie da die Farbe da rauskommt. Sie haben ja eine, die ein bisschen purple sogar. Okay. Also sieht auch aus wie Sensimilia ohne Samen. Hier ein bisschen buschiger, anderer Phänotyp, 22. Was ist hier? Minz Nummer 21. Also die haben halt hier die gleichen Samen ausgesät und suchen sich dann hier die besten raus. Hier haben wir nochmal Nummer 20 ist das. Ja, bildet eure Meinung. Also okay, das ist Nummer 19. Ja, ist 19, Nummer 19. Hier haben wir Nummer 18. Nummer 18. Gleicher Strain. Schöne Farbe, einen ganz leichten Touch von Purple. 17 haben wir hier. Und dann möchte ich mich auch noch recht herzlich bedanken bei den Supportern von diesem Kanal. Und zwar ist es einmal S&R Organic, den Biodünger, den ich jetzt schon seit 2 Jahren verwende. Ich kann ihn wirklich nur weiterempfehlen. Link findet ihr unten in der Videobeschreibung und einen Code, wo ihr 20% sparen könnt. Und natürlich ein großes Shoutout an Cannazen, die uns schon beim Marokko-Trip unterstützt haben. Vielen Dank nochmal.
Du bestellst, wann du willst. Rezept online, Lieferung in 48 Stunden. Deutschlandweit.
Und natürlich Groove Bags. Lambert hat uns hier eingeladen und überhaupt diesen Trip möglich gemacht. Und deswegen auch noch ein Shoutout an Groove Bags. Vielen Dank nochmal und jetzt geht's weiter mit der Folge. Viel Spaß. Okay, Leute, ich check jetzt mal weiter. Es geht los.
Today we're probably going to see around 1,000 plants. And this is just the warm-up. So we're like, kind of like calibrating everybody's nose, getting to flex your, stretch out your nose muscles, get your eyes trained to like what we're gonna be seeing over the next, week. So this is just the warm-up. So yeah, strap in, get ready. We're going deep. This one, so this is the jelly donut. So we're like kind of pheno hunting through like a little bit more stable of a population. So all these plants, they look really, really similar. We're just looking for like little nuanced changes where we can tweak it and make it a little bit better. These ones to me, I mean, it smells straight like, like jelly jam. There's a small little like maybe baked good, like a donut or something in here. Like it's super frosty. There's some that have a little bit more purple in them, but they're all so similar. Like, these two sibling plants are, you could definitely put these both in the same bag at the end of the year. Like they're checking all the same boxes. Yum, this is heaven, this is paradise. So here on a licensed farm, there's no set amount. We have a square footage requirement, so we can't go outside of our square footage, our boundary that we have that we have pinned or a license for. But within that, we can grow as much as we want. So you could grow 1 million tiny plants this big, or you could grow just 500 giant plants. And we have to go through, we have to report everything we harvest, we have to report all the weights, we have to document the destruction of the flower. But yeah, they want it down to the 10th of a gram. All of the flower and leaves from this garden will be reported and entered into metric.
So that's a lot of
Even though we only compost it, because, or I mean, we don't compost, this destroyed by fire.
Und übrigens haben wir mehrere Folgen gedreht. Die Playlist findet ihr unten in der Videobeschreibung. Wir haben auch eine Marokko-Tour gemacht. Die Playlist habe ich euch auch unten in die Videobeschreibung reingesetzt. Ich wünsche euch viel Spaß. Let's go.
And it's super, you can just see how fuzzy this one looks.
Especially this one too. This one's killer.
And it just reeks. Like, I can't wait if we can find a washer in the jelly donuts, because I haven't seen a lot of great washers yet, and I know they're in there.
Oh, I know they're in there too. 4 or 5 different strains in here.
4 or 5.
Yeah. So it's cheese Danish over there, jelly donuts, OBKZ, which is Obama Kush, and then this is Delicata grape.
The Delicata. Yeah, they're all crosses. So when he says Obama, it's actually a cross of ROG plus Obama, I'm guessing. So yeah, like in these little pheno hunts that are like within a more stable population, you get these little tweaks that are different. Like this one just has a little bit more purple. It's maybe a little bit more,
chunky,
a little bit more stacked out. Definitely further ahead in flowering. This one could catch up. But yeah, I don't know. At the moment, I think this one,
too. Look at that. That's beautiful.
This one has the lead for me at the moment. What's it smell like?
Great.
God, it smells straight jelly on toast. You nailed it. Like, respect. And they're all like, I mean, the smell on this one like really knocks it out of the park. Like each one smells so similar. Like I haven't smelled anything like out of the box. I'm curious of what that crazy tall one smells like.
I don't know. I've just been looking at it.
Yeah.
Careful coming through here with these bamboos.
Yeah, watch your eyes. And this one, like, it has the jelly donut smell, but it's not quite as strong of a nose. But the yield on it, it's huge. So you're like weighing all these different variables. You're like looking at structure, you're looking at yield, smell, and you have to find that happy medium where you can really check all the boxes. Even trimmability. Like,
Totally.
if I was a trimmer, like
I'd be stoked.
Yeah, I would be super stoked to trim this one.
Golf ball in a bag.
Yeah, these two are like total trimmability. Like, how many snips do you got to get down to that bud? Yeah. How many snips does it take is what we're always thinking. Yeah, you want to see like a good leaf to calyx ratio. So like for this one, this is probably what I would call like a medium leaf to calyx ratio. Like it's pretty solid. Like there's not a whole lot of leaf. You can see the calyxes really clear.
Density.
Yeah, it's solid. You can kind of do like a little tap test and feel like the density of the bud. Yeah, so yeah, like this one is a little bit more leafy, smaller buds, a little bit more spread apart. The top isn't a great shape for me yet. Like it looks like it's gonna kind of like open up or foxtail a little bit. So like this we would select against. Yeah, even though this one could work really well somewhere like the Caribbean.
Totally.
So there's like what you're selecting for. Like we here don't necessarily want to select for airy buds, but in the Caribbean, this growth structure is perfect because the mold is so high there. So when you're like, this is definitely more of a sativa leaning, like,
wow.
Right? And then you like compare that to like something like this. So when you're selecting, like this tells you so much information about the strain you're looking at. Like when you see this like red in the stem and red on the back of the leaves and then like red in the veins, that's anthocyanin. That's what the plant produces, what we believe will keep the plant warmer whenever it's going into like the fall. So that little bit of red pigmentation actually traps more heat from the sun and allows the plant to survive over cold nights. So when you're looking for like purple kind of really comes from a lot of like the northern hemisphere stuff that was kind of like up in the mountains, the hardcore indicas. And now with hybridization, it's really, we've transferred that purple through everything. But yeah, anthocyanin, super strong anti-cancer molecule, great for human health. Like a lot of people eat all purple foods, you know, but yeah, and it can make potentially purple hash. So like, yeah, seeing the purple doesn't mean it's always gonna make purple hash, but it's a great first indicator that it has the potential to make purple hash. Pollination window is actually like a window. So within this one plant, it's only going to accept so much pollen at once. There's waves of pistils that will come out that will accept pollen. So one day you'll get X amount of pollination, and then 7 days later you'll get another wave of pollination. So it's all just riding the wave of the plant's maturity, following the plant essentially. But yeah, you can see how many pistils are here and how much seed will this produce. It's quite a bit. But to get it to the point where it's stable enough to be grown and then bred like that, that's the hard part. So it's easy to make a lot of seeds. It's really hard to make a lot of stable seeds. And we'll do different things there's clones in here of multiple strains. There's a couple of tiny plants in there that are other stuff. So while we're honing in a strain, we'll also be outcrossing it to do future pheno hunts with. So this is like a lemon candy strain, and then the other one is Perps garlic butter mashed up with I believe there's some Guzzlers or some Gush Mints in the other one. So it's kind of split right in half. And you can see, this one's a lot more like short, squat, cushy vibes is how I describe it. Yeah, this one's more like hybrid. Like it's just kind of that medium, a little bit more bud spacing, not as short, not as squat, kind of more spear-like. I always call them spears of jaw. Yeah, but that's ridiculous. These buds are too big.
Yeah?
You can grow buds that are too big. Yeah, because when you open up the plant and look at it, right now it looks fine, but this will start to get discolored in the future. So I would select against this structure. Even the yield, this could be a 1/4 pound cola. This one bud could yield a 1/4 pound, but if it's not going to make it the whole way to harvest, we can't grow it. She can't make it through. So that's that fine balance that you have to find between all the different boxes that you check as a grower. You're seeing the sun, there's a lot more moisture in there, a lot more chance for mold. It would be almost impossible to grow something like this in a Caribbean climate. We're able to we can grow big buds like this in California because it's dry for the most part in the fall, but yeah, other places in the world, it's really hard to grow big buds because you need that dry, warm weather, especially during flower, to not have a ton of mold problems. Yeah, she's back in the day, this was the California standard, was buds like this. This was we would call it the Emerald Triangle Kush or Triangle Kush, and it grew a lot like this. And that's what everybody wanted. Everybody wanted these giant buds because you could only grow 6 plants in your garden. So you needed the 6 biggest, best yielding plants that you could, just so you have enough to get through the year. So, but now that times have changed and we're looking for different things and we can have way more plants here, the plant has to adapt with us. Theft, people used to be way worse than it is now. Definitely, people used to come and rip off gardens, and that's part of the reason the steel cage holds up the plant, but it also makes it really hard to walk away with the whole plant at once. So a steel cage, a couple of T-posts, some wire, and yeah, people could come and maybe cut some of your buds, but they could never get away with the whole thing. I can feel the heads a little bit rolling around my fingers, and
good call on that.
My God, the smell of this one's ridiculous. It smells like a lemon dryer sheet. They're all so similar. The structure of all of these is so.
So this is a perfect size, huh? Would you say?
This is still probably, I would say it's on the bigger side, but it's better than that last one. There's a little bit of room between this bud and the stem, so it's going to be able to breathe. So I like the structure of this one better than the previous one. Oh yeah, all this is 100% organic, living soil. This ground's been cultivated in for cannabis for the last 20, 30 years. Before even we were here on this farm. Yeah, the only thing that we would buy would be some bone meal, some feather meal, some fish bone meal. No, it's really simple. It turns out that they call it weed for a reason. She likes to grow. If you just give her the right space and the right amount of water and step back, she flourishes. It's amazing. It's just get out. It's if you can get yourself out of the way. So I know as humans we want to tinker and we want everything to be perfect because we'll optimize it. But a lot of the times this plant is already optimized for growing, especially outdoors. Like she's been evolving for hundreds of thousands of years to grow outside. So it's kind of hubris for us to think that we can improve upon that. I like this. This is maybe a little too small. This one I really like for size wise. Like these, like very uniform, like even the side buds are nice, like a nice size. So like when you buck it down, you're gonna have a whole lot of buds that are all about the same uniform size.
I have one question about the purpling, the plants.
The anthocyanin.
Yeah, is this coming from the cold as well?
So yeah, anthocyanin is, most plants have the ability to produce anthocyanin when it comes to cannabis. So you can artificially induce it indoors by lowering your temperatures, or outdoors when it gets later in the year and the nighttime temperatures get below 50 degrees, the plant will naturally start to produce a chemical to protect itself from the cold. And that anthocyanin, which is the purpling, will collect more UV heat during the day, and it'll store it in the plant to let it survive temperatures that could be as low as freezing. Yeah, just because the plant is purple doesn't mean the hash will be purple. Yeah. It just means that the hash probably could be purple. Right. Like under a microscope, you'll see anthocyanin will sometimes work its way up the stalk of the trichome, and occasionally, like 1 in 1,000, it'll work its way up the stalk, and you'll see it kind of bleeding into the head. And when you have that anthocyanin bleeding into the head of the trichome, that's when that's when you're gonna have purple hash or pink hash, or you're gonna have this kind of like rainbow effect of hash. So yeah, when you're pheno hunting and selecting for, especially some like a very small detailed trait, like anthocyanin actually bleeding through into the trichome head, and you make seeds from that, like your first generation, you might not see it at all pop up. It might be a full recessive trait that the next generation, you don't see any purple in any of the trichome heads. But then through subsequent generations and heavy selection, you can start to kind of slowly suss out that specific trait. So you might find, 2 in 100, and then all of a sudden 4 in 100, and then 25 in 100, and then you can start making like meaningful improvement and meaningful isolation of different traits. What is this? So this is more of like a garlic butter cross that we've been working on. It was started from the perps, and then now it's turned into its own strain. It's not purple anymore. There's a few phenotypes we'll see that are still purple, but it's a lot more spaced out buds. The buds are more uniform. I would consider this more of like a modern day strain, because this is what commercial farmers look for. They don't necessarily look, because it's no longer in California is it about who can grow the most weed. It's all about the best quality weed, because we can grow pretty much as much area as we want on a licensed farm, but to get to the point to have that perfect bud in the bag, that the customer gets the same size bud each time, and each bud looks beautiful and identical to the next, and one bag looks identical to the other one. People want to see this kind of spaced out, like this like it ticks back and forth. There's just enough room that somebody with scissors can easily come through and clip each bud off really easily. Potentially this could go through, some farms will use like mechanical trimming. So if everything's more uniform, it'll go through that process a lot easier. And yeah, and this is more of like kind of that like OG GMO structure. The frost, like super resin heavy plants will also tend to grow like this for whatever reason. It's like a secondary trait. So higher potency, like this is a modern day high potency cannabis strain. The purple I like. So like it hasn't been cold at all here, and you can see the anthocyanin already being produced inside the calyx. And one way you'd be able to tell if it was cold induced purpling would be the leaves, the tops of the leaves or the bottoms of the leaves would start to turn purple first, and then the bud would turn purple. Well, this one's turning purple from the inside out. I mean, I like this a lot. I don't know, like for me, this is checking a lot of boxes, because I mean, the smell's got, it's on the sweet end still, and I think it's gonna get a little bit more funky as she matures. But I like the structure. I like that she's like that light lavender purple. It tends to stay better in the bag. Yeah, it's like longevity of the flower. It looks prettier for longer, because it's really hard to take something like this and get it into a bag and get it dried and cured properly, and then get it to the consumer, to someone who's smoking it, like to get it to the final stoner, like that's a epic quest that this plant's about to go on. Like she's gonna get hung, dried, weighed, packaged, you know, taken to the dispensary, set it on the dispensary shelf till someone comes in and takes her home and enjoys her. The color will always shift a little bit. It'll always go a little bit darker. I mean, your curing practices are, you know, that's over probably, I would say, half of, you know, the game when it comes to growing cannabis. It's like fairly easy to grow nice weed. It's pretty challenging to actually get that nice weed from the bud or from the plant to the jar. So usually it'll go a couple of shades darker, but if you can keep your curing temperatures low, your humidity set, you know, around 40%, especially for the first, you know, week and, you know, or 2 weeks of drying. And if you can kind of extend that drying period just a little bit without going too far, you'll retain this color perfectly. Oh, so yeah, the way I've always dried weed since I was young, is the way I always learned, was to hang it. So we do a lot of hang drying. I know some people like to bucket down and put it in baskets and things, but I always think of bruised apples. So you never, like, you want to touch this plant as little as possible, because when she's wet, she's really delicate. So anytime you touch her, you kind of give her a little bruise, and that place where you touch her is going to get a little darker as she cures, or as she dries and cures. So we'll cut hangers. Well, you know, we'll cut a branch about, you know, this big, and we'll have some string going across the room, and we'll hang her, you know, by a little crooks where there's a branch. And so we'll create this whole upside down forest of all these hanging branches, and we'll turn the air conditioning down to below, you know, below, ideally you want to be around like 65 to 70 degrees Fahrenheit, which I'm not sure what it is Celsius, and then your relative humidity down to about 40%, and let her dry for anywhere from 7 to maximum 14 days, but ideally at minimum 7 days. You want it to hang and dry and off gas all the nitrogen. So what you're doing is, you're like, when you're drying, is there's a lot of like the plant's actively pushing out moisture, pushing out different chemicals that it has in its system. So you want to allow that process to happen, because that will then make the curing go so much quicker. Oh yeah, we dry indoors. We'll dry like in a house, in a cabin, in a barn. Here on the farm, we have a barn that we dry in. Way back in the days when it was, you know, super sketchy, we used to like hang it in trees and stuff to dry, or like put a tarp out in the middle of nowhere and hang it underneath the tarp and hope that it dried in time.
Okay.
So what do we?
Okay, so starting on this side, let's see what we got. This is the honey banana clone times charcuterie. So the charcuterie was a UK cheese cross. Yeah, honey banana times charcuterie. So it's got that like nice sweet, but also that like kind of funky cheesy smell to it.
Yeah, and you can just feel on all these, like every one of these is sandy. Like this row specifically was bred for washing, so these are a lot of really well-known washer strains.
Yeah, this is like the washer rows.
Yeah. This has got more just straight banana terps on it.
I like that one. That one's definitely unique.
This one's almost a little pepperier.
Yeah. It almost smells like that, like white buffalo.
I was gonna say, it kind of smells like sweet pig shit a little bit.
As opposed to what other pig shit? But yeah, these are so early still. It's kind of hard to get a grasp on it.
Yeah, that's the one thing with some of the washer strains is they're super late.
Know that, like, you know, Ben and I, our farms are very breeding specific, and so you see a lot of these little greenhouses, and you see a lot of this infrastructure that is really just about breeding. This all the time. People are like,
in the flower chambers,
you know, like these buds look like really roughed out and harsh. Here's what it is. Like, imagine you pick a rose when it's at its most beautiful, right? And that's for the flower. If you looked inside of that rose, the seeds would not even germinate. There would be nothing inside of that rose. When a rose and all the petals have fallen off, the rose is brown, and that's when you have the seeds inside the rose. So remember, when you look at our seeded weed here, it's about a month, even longer sometimes, beyond when we would have harvested it. Blueberry muffin was discovered 10 feet out, like 15 feet over there in 2007, 8. Like we found 2007, we found the blueberry muffin here, like 20 feet that way. And then in 2008, I found the blueberry muffin number 4, which has kind of been like the cut that we based a lot of the seed breeding off. And blueberry muffin has been back crossed onto blueberry muffin 15 times at least. So it's about the most stable strain. So when we go in here, we're gonna see about 75% blueberry muffin 4 number clones, and then blueberry muffin seedlings all along the backside here. So feel free to test me and see if you think that all the back row on this side smells like blueberry muffin. Now there are a few outcrossers that we always put like random strains in there just to be like, this is blueberry muffin times blah, blah, blah. So those are pretty obvious, so they look really different, but 95% of what's in here is blueberry muffin, and 75% of that is the blueberry muffin 4 clone.
Next thing you know, it was the entire operation was like, it smells just like blueberry muffins. It named itself. That's so beautiful.
These yellow, ugly looking ones are the pollinators. So these little, okay, I'm just gonna start from the beginning, right? So here we're in the blueberry muffin chamber. This is blueberry muffin number 4 right here, the receiver we call this one. So this is receiving pollen. These are all blueberry muffin number 4 clones. And then, like I said, the back row is blueberry muffin seedlings that are IBLs. And what I'm gonna be doing right now is blowing the pollen around. But these are blueberry muffin S3s that we have reversed the sex right here to turn them into a express male. So basically the way feminizing works is you have XX chromosomes and XY chromosomes, right? And XY is male and XX is female. And when you use silver in a plant, it blocks ethylene, which is what allows the plant to turn to female. So it goes default and goes male. But the pollen that comes out has XX chromosomes because it's still genetically a female. So normally you have inheritance is either male or female, and it's a coin flip. With this, you have female, and so the coin still flips, but it's always heads or female, you know? So that's how feminized seeds work. And we know very well what what is inside this pollen genetically because we're so familiar with it. So basically, what I'm trying to do, you know, which you'll see with the blower, is take this pollen right here that's dusting out and put it onto these pistils, which the pistils, you can see some of it on my finger there. The pistils, they're actually technically stigma. And that catches pollen, and then it travels down that white hair into the ovule, and that's where the fertilization happens. And so then that's when the seed forms up. But to make it a lot easier, I just go like this this is like nature. Cannabis is a wind pollinated plant. So in nature, a male plant has these big umbels of anthers, and the wind blows and it blows across this field, and the pollen deposits and gets stuck to the stigma. And that's how cannabis copulates and makes babies. But we're in a hermetically sealed chamber, so instead of wind, we have this. And we're making, you know, a couple hundred babies just now.
I grew weed for the SDI. I grew weed for the DEA. Grew weed for the lawyers to make it illegal someday. And I grew weed for the prisons who locked me away. I grew weed for the snitches just to give them bitches something to say. And I grew weed for Wiz Khalifa. Well, I was on the edge.
Vielen Dank fürs Zuschauen. Es wird bald weitere Folgen geben aus USA und auch Kanada. Also es wird richtig spannend. Gerne abonnieren und ein Like da lassen, falls euch das Video gefallen hat. Wir sehen uns dann im nächsten Video und nicht vergessen, never stop growing, euer Marc von Weedland.
Little bitty seeds, I grew weed. I grew weed. Big old buds from little bitty seeds, I grew